On July 24th, Anthropic posted a guide on prompting Claude Opus 5. I will post a link below. A lot of the advice people still follow was written for older AI models, but with Opus 5, some of those habits can slow you down and cost you more. Anthropic has now explained how prompting Opus 5 is different. In this video, I'll show you which old prompting habits to stop using and what to do instead. I picked 7 tips from the article and I'll walk you through them below. Claude Opus 5 runs on high effort unless you tell it otherwise. Anthropic recommends using low and medium effort options frequently. They can handle most tasks at a fraction of the cost and wait time. High is the default, extra high is for long coding and agent work. There's a 5th, max, but Anthropic doesn't recommend it as a starting point for anything, so the guide skips it. The effort setting controls how much work Claude puts in the whole response. That includes how much it reasons before answering and also how many tool calls it makes along the way. High effort can be useful for difficult tasks, but it can also make Claude take longer to respond and use more tokens. Most everyday questions do not need maximum reasoning. If you're asking Claude to define a term, rewrite a paragraph, summarize a document, or format some text, low effort may be all you need. For example, what does agentic AI mean? That is a straightforward question. Claude does not need to spend a long time reasoning through it. Medium effort is a better choice when a task requires some judgment. For example, compare these 3 YouTube titles and explain which one is most likely to appeal to small business owners. That requires more thought, but it's still not an extremely difficult task. High effort makes more sense for complicated analysis, troubleshooting, large writing projects, or coding tasks with several requirements. Xhigh should be safe for most demanding work, such as large coding projects, complex agentic flows, or problems involving many files and tools. Do not automatically use the highest setting. Match the effort level to the task's difficulty. More thinking is not always better. Sometimes it only means a longer wait. Another common mistake is assuming that lowering the effort settings will automatically give you a shorter answer. Effort and verbosity are 2 different things. Effort controls how much Claude reasons before answering. Verbosity controls how much Claude writes in the final response. You can use low effort and still receive a long answer if you do not tell Claude how much detail you want. So instead of asking, explain prompt engineering, be more specific. Explain prompt engineering in 5 bullet points. Keep each bullet under 2 sentences. You can also use instructions like, give me a short overview. Keep the answer under 300 words. Use these short paragraphs. Give me the recommendation without a long explanation. Do not expect Claude to know whether you want a quick answer or a complete report. Tell it directly. This one applies when Claude is writing files rather than answering in the chat. Reports, summaries, meeting notes, anything it saves as a document. Anthropic says Opus 5 tends to produce longer responses than earlier models. That often means extra sections, repeated summaries, and more words than the answer really needs. The fix is a line in your prompt, something like match the length of the document to what the task needs. Cover the substance, but do not pad it with filler sections, redundant summaries, or generic text. Telling Claude to keep its chat replies short does not carry over to the files it writes. If you want both, ask for both. With older models, working in small steps made sense. Give the model one piece, see what it comes back, correct it, and move on to the next. Large assignments were harder to manage because the model could lose track partway through. So breaking the work into smaller pieces was often the safer approach. Opus 5 works the other way. Anthropic says it performs best when you give it a complete task specifications up front. Here's what the old habit looks like. Help me write a YouTube script. Claude does not know what the video is about, who it's for, how long it should be, or what style you want. You'll get something back, but then you'll spend 4 or 5 messages walking it towards what you actually wanted. Compare that to giving the whole thing at once. Write a 5-minute YouTube script explaining how to use the effort settings in Claude Opus 5. The audience is a small business owners who use Claude for everyday work. Use simple language, practical examples, and a conversational tone. Include a strong hook, 4 main sections, and a short conclusion. Same request. The difference is that Claude now knows what a finished job looks like before it writes a word. Anthropic makes the same point about coding. Opus 5 will carry a large task through to the end rather than leaving. The same thing applies to writing, research, or anything with more than one requirement. If your instructions are vague, Claude may do far more than you intended. For example, improve this script. What does improve mean? Should Claude rewrite the entire script, shorten it, add more examples, change the tone, replace the hook, remove sections? Claude has to make those decisions for you. A better prompt will be, review this script for clarity and repetition. Do not rewrite the entire script. Identify the 5 weakest sections and show me how to improve them without changing my overall structure. Now Claude knows both what to change and what to leave alone. You could also say, correct the grammar and improve the sentence flow, but do not change my examples, opinions, or speaking style. Clear boundaries help prevent Claude from expanding the task beyond what you wanted. Tell it what to change, what not to change, how far it should go, what the final result should contain. A lot of older prompting advice told people to add instructions like double check your answer, review your work 3 times, verify everything before responding, use another agent to check your work. Those instructions may have been useful with older models, but Anthropic says to remove them. Opus 5 already checks and corrects its own work, and telling it to verify on top of that causes over-verification. You pay for the extra tokens, and the answer doesn't get any better. So the first step is to delete those lines from your prompts. Here's what I do instead. If there's something that genuinely needs checking, I name it, rather than asking Claude to verify everything. I point at the one thing that matters. Instead of saying double check the entire answer, say check that every statistic is supported by the source I provided. Instead of review the instructions 3 times, say make sure those instructions work on Mac OS. Instead of verify the whole script, say check that the hook accurately reflects what the video teaches. Specific verification is useful. Vague, repetitive verification usually is not. Claude Opus 5 is designed for longer agentic tasks. During coding, research, or tool use, it may provide frequent updates on what it is doing. That can be useful when something important changes, but you probably do not need a running commentary on every small action. You can control this directly in your prompt. For example, briefly explain your plan before starting. While working, only update me when you discover something important or need to change your approach. When finished, lead with the result. This gives you enough information to understand what Claude is doing without filling the conversation with unnecessary updates. For a simple question, you may not need any progress updates at all. For a large coding or research task, a brief plan and key updates may be enough. You do not need a complicated prompt framework. This is the structure I use. Start with the task. Help me complete the following task. Then add the context. Here's the important background. Next, explain the audience. This is intended for. Then list your requirements. What must be included, what should be avoided, what should remain unchanged. Finally, define the output, the format, the length, the level of detail. Here is a complete example. Help me write an email to a client who has not paid an invoice from 6 weeks ago. This is a long-term client I want to keep, and the delay is unusual for them. Keep the tone friendly and assume there is a reasonable explanation. Ask for a payment date and offer to resend the invoice. Do not mention late fees or threaten to pause work. Keep it under 150 words. That prompt is not complicated. It simply gives Claude the information it needs before it begins. Claude Opus 5 does not need the same level of hand-holding as older AI models. You do not need to tell it to think harder, double-check everything, explain every step, and use the maximum effort for every task. Start by choosing the effort level that matches the work's difficulty. Then tell Claude how long the answer should be. Provide the complete task up front, define clear boundaries, and only ask it to verify what actually matters. The goal is not to create the longest possible prompt. The goal is to remove unnecessary instructions and give Claude the right information for the task you want it to complete. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.